Hello, thank you for visiting my YouTube channel. This is Hafiz. I am very excited to start new video training for Azure DevOps. This series will help you to learn and understand what Azure DevOps is. In this training, we will learn each and every step of the DevOps cycle. We will see what tools are used in order to deploy a application from dev to staging to production and so on. Before getting into DevOps, we need to understand what is the software development lifecycle or SDLC. SDLC stands for Software Development Lifecycle. There are multiple phases of the SDLC. When an application is developed, these phases are followed, such as plan, code, build, test, release, deploy, operate, and monitor. We will see quickly what these phases are. Planning is the first phase of the software development lifecycle. In the planning phase, business value and requirements are defined. In the second phase of coding, software design and the creation of code happens. There are various tools that are being used for the coding, such as GitHub, GitLab, Visual Studio, and so on. Third phase of the SDLC is the build. In that phase, software builds and versions are managed. There are various automated tools are used to compile and package code for future release to the production. So in the build phase, basically code is compiled and packaged into a product. In the fourth phase of the SDLC, testing happens. In this phase, continuously testing happens either manually or automated testing to ensure optimal code quality that meets the customer requirement. There are various tools for the testing are used, such as Azure Test Plans, Code Conception, Selenium, Vagrant, and so on. In the fifth phase of SDLC, release happens. So after completion of successful testing, software is released to production and is ready for deployment. Deployment is the sixth phase of the SDLC. In this phase, we manage, coordinate, schedule, and automate product release into production using different tools such as Azure Pipelines, Puppet, Chef, Ansible, Jenkins, Kubernetes, and so on. Operate is the seventh phase of SDLC. This phase manages software during production. There are various tools used for operating of the application such as Ansible, Puppet, PowerShell, Chef, and so on. Monitoring is the last phase of SDLC. This phase involves identifying and collecting information about issues from a specific software release in production. There are various tools used for monitoring, such as Azure Monitor, Datadog, Grafana, Wireshark, Splunk, Nagios, and so on. We often see there are multiple teams working in an organization. Planning is the responsibility of business or product team. Then development team is the responsible for coding, building, testing, and release. Then comes the operations team that is responsible for deployment, operations, and monitoring of the software application. In traditional development culture, both teams, development and operations, work on their own and independently. On one side, development team works on coding, bug fixes, security updates, and product features upgrade of the software application. On the other side, operations team is busy in maintaining servers uptime, maintaining servers performance, monitoring the software application, and managing the backups. So whenever there is any upgrade of the application or update of the application, so development team works on the coding and product features upgrade. Whenever the product update is complete, they give that update to the operations team for the deployment. So operations team take that deployment feature and deploy the code or application to the production servers. So as both teams work on their own independently, we often see blame games. So normally what happens, since they both teams work on their own timelines, so software development team they send product upgrade to the operations team for deployment. So they say that they didn't deploy our code on time. On the other hand, operations team often say that you send us the update after the scheduled time. So what is the issue? So issue is the wall of confusion because both teams work on the other side of the wall. So now what is the solution? Solution is we have to break this wall of confusion, and that is the DevOps. So before getting into DevOps, we need to understand what is the difference between traditional and modern software delivery. So in traditional software development, waterfall approach is followed, where different teams or organizational units work on their own on the requirements, development, and operations. So there is a clear separation between business and IT, and they release software for every 2 or 3 times a year, and they are driven by the budget or the cost. So on the other hand, agile or scrum approach comes under the modern software delivery, where multidisciplinary teams work together as part of one team on small piece of code to deliver, where business development and operations work as a one team. They release multiple software upgrades a day, and they are driven by value or mission. Now we will discuss what is DevOps. DevOps has been derived from development and operations. Dev has been taken from development and ops has been taken from operations. That becomes DevOps. So, what is DevOps and why do we need it? DevOps is a culture or practice that fills gap between the development and the operation teams. Both teams work together in collaboration through entire SDLC to produce a better, more reliable product by using automated infrastructure, workflows, and continuously measuring application performance. DevOps is a software development approach that involves continuous integration, continuous testing, continuous delivery, continuous deployment of the software throughout its development lifecycle. There are various tools are available in the market to automate the DevOps process. So what are the benefits of DevOps? There are various benefits of the DevOps such as fast delivery. So deploying the code from developers machines to server is very fast. DevOps reduces time as a lot of things happen automatically like testing, deployment, rollbacks, etc. So let's say if the customer is not happy with the product feature, developer can immediately roll back the changes. Rollback. Any release that you think should not go to the customer, you can easily roll back. Quality. There are a lot of tools available in the market in order to check the quality of the code before deploying to the production server. Collaboration. In the DevOps, all teams work together to build a great product. More agility. So every commit is treated as a final delivery. DevOps is easy to use, no maintenance is required, and DevOps is reliable and secure. These are some of the famous DevOps tools given in the diagram. As you can see, software development lifecycle loop is shown where you can see plan, build, continuous integration. There is a code and test phase is there and release phase is there. Then comes deploy, operate, monitor that goes to the continuous feedback. I hope you liked my video. Please join in my second episode of this video training. Until then, goodbye.